So I thought it would be good to do a before and after picture comparison on the first flip that Amy and I did at 5208 Keystone Street in Pittsburgh. So here's the front outside, the way it was when we purchased it. So we painted the brick a dark gray color, painted the lower concrete below the bricks and around the side of the house, a darker, nearly black color. Um, really looks much better. That old ugly brick color you see a lot. A lot of people have painted over that nowadays, and you don't see it as much anymore. Um, Added the house numbers to the pillar in the middle. We replaced the door. And we repainted a lot of the trim, but we matched that color at the paint store. They were able to match it very closely. A lot of the trim was in pretty bad shape, beat up, but we didn't replace a lot of it. I did replace around both front and back door and with a wood trim, and we painted that the same color that the house had before on the trim. It's kind of a light yellowish beige color. There was pretty ugly silver flashing on both the porch roof and the upper roof, and I covered it with a drip edge, aluminum drip edge on the lower roof where it was easy to get to, but didn't do it on the upper roof. It isn't as noticeable up there. It still is noticeable. It doesn't look great, but didn't want to get up there that high, and that's also where the power line comes into the house, so didn't want to mess with that. Patched the brick on the steps. Really, the steps are kind of detached from the foundation under the porch there a little, so there had been some old patch jobs done, and I ground some of that out because it was pretty bad and did a better patch job on that. Those are the changes to the front of the house. This is the view from the front door. You can see through to what was the dining room, but we're standing in the living room at the front of the house, and you can see the stairs in the shot. In the new picture, you can see the new paint scheme and what we did with the stairs there. In this picture, there's no railing on the stairs at this point. That's to be added when it comes in. Hasn't It's on order and hasn't arrived yet. But you can see through to the new kitchen. So we went from an old empty dining room to a new kitchen. This picture is across the living room looking out the front window of the house. We didn't replace this window or most of the windows in the house. The only two that we did replace, we did that because the height of the windows was going to be a problem for the new kitchen. So the dining room had much taller windows, but we wanted to go with shorter windows for the kitchen because they went in over the counter height. So that's the only reason we changed those. The rest of the windows in the house were in pretty good shape, although they were very dirty. I think they're from 2008, so they're not that old. And in this shot, you can see the new flooring we put down. We thought might be able to rescue that old floor, but after we started looking at it, it had tile on it at one time, and I think there was still a little tile left around the edges. After scraping that up and trying to sand some of it, we decided it probably wasn't worth it. The material used there, I think it was just pine boards. They weren't of good quality, so we picked up some engineered hardwood floor at a an auction, and we used that throughout the first floor of the house, and you can see it there. It looks great. So the next picture is a view from the front door across the living room to the right. One big thing you'll notice there is there's no doorway in the before picture here. Um, and also you can see the old style fireplace masonry work that we ended up getting rid of. Also, a lot of the ductwork in the house was added on, of course, after initial construction much later, and um, some of the ductwork came out in funny places, and there was a lot of these registers like this at the bottom of the floor, really kind of taking up floor space, and we fixed all that while we had the walls gutted. So in the after picture, you can see our new tile work that we did on the fireplace. And the HVAC register was put in the wall like you'd normally see in a modern house. And also added the doorway through to the new kitchen, and it goes past the basement steps door, which was also added there on the left, or through the doorway on the left. So moving from the front living room, there's a shot here up the old stairs. You can see that the old iron railing, which was kind of nice, but we decided not to keep it. It was really looks better in this picture than it did in person. It had some missing parts and would have been hard to use in the new house. And then most of the wood in the house was not very good quality. You can see these pine boards and risers and treads used in the stairs weren't really that great. Actually, the treads were oak, but they were pretty beat up. So we hit a lot of that with this black carbon color that we used for the trim throughout the house in the new picture. And we had a lot of white in the house with the white kitchen cabinets, so we painted all the trim bright white, and we used that on the risers for the steps. So here's a view through the old living room area, really, and you can see there's a closet in the back and some of the light fixtures they had, and also I think all the rooms in this house had a drop ceiling in them, and the old plaster ceilings up above were very rough. So all the plaster was gutted from this house, which was just about was every surface really. So we had it gutted down to the studs and had full plumbing replaced. 100% of the plumbing was replaced in the house, except the hot water heater. But all the piping was replaced. And there really wasn't a lot of piping in this house. It all went through the back, which is really an addition. You can see into the old kitchen they had back there. And then there was above that a second floor part of that addition that was the master bath and part of the master bedroom. You can see the closet there in the background before you go through the door into the old kitchen. We kept that. That's the pantry for the new kitchen. Here again, the floor, we, it was the same floor that was in the front living room, and we didn't end up keeping it. It was really beyond repair. So there's a new shot, the same angle. You can see now it's kitchen, and really quite a dramatic change here. And the doors we used on the pantry, you can see, and the trim paint that it was actually a stain. We kind of wiped off the wood surfaces, so you could see the grain through it in places where the wood looked good enough to do that. So some French style doors, and also I frosted the glass so you can really just see straight through into the pantry. But it's a lighted pantry. It's very nice. Put shelf units on the inside there. ready to go for the new owner. This view shows across the old dining room through to the door that went to the basement. This was the only way to get to the basement. You had to come through the living room from the front door into the dining room, and you could wrap around and go down through that door to the basement steps. Um, like I said before, we added the doorway through the front room so you can access the basement door, which I put at the top of the steps. You can access that either way through the kitchen here or through the living room in the front. It gave the house kind of a more open feel. And they're just doorways open to go all the way through there, and the actual door to the basement is off to the side, just at the top of the stairs. So here's the new shot. You can see the doorway kind of in the back behind the refrigerator, but obviously this is all changed. It's a kitchen now, and on the right you can see we exposed that brick before. Everything was covered in either plaster or some kind of old paneling that had been painted. So after exposing the brick, a lot of it was pretty rough. It all had plaster on it. We had to use an acid wash to get all that off. So it took a long time to get those all cleaned up, and in the end, really, they're pretty rough chimneys. But people like that exposed brick look, and it actually does look great. Here is the old kitchen. I was in the back lower room of the house. Um, just terrible. Uh, we gutted it completely, and from the next picture you can see it is just an extra room, or it could be a small dining room. The chimney there that's exposed had to have extensive reworking. It had been actually chipped away on the bottom, about probably more than half of the chimney, so it was overhanging at the top. It seemed very dangerous. So it's one of the first things we did, was to rebuild the bottom part of that chimney. This whole addition in the back where this old kitchen um, was sinking, I guess. That really didn't have a good foundation under this addition, so everything was sinking. So we had to have some structural work done. We had 6 footers poured, dug out, and poured around the perimeter, 3 on each side of this addition. Steel beams put in to support the lower joist for the lower floor. We had steel columns, 6 steel columns put in over each of the footers, and over top of that, 2 steel I-beams to support the upper level floor joists. And then there was some rotting of the wood. It was actually in better shape than I imagined, because some of the joists were sitting right on the dirt, because it had sunk a few inches, several inches. Um, so we did have to sister on a joist at the back. All the other joists were in really good shape, and they were the old style true 2x12s, I believe. They were very heavy duty joists in both the floor here and the second story floor as well. Um, so after that, there shouldn't be any structural issues. The walls were in pretty good shape. Like I said, we did do a little reinforcing of some of the rotted bottoms of the 2x4s. This picture shows a view of the upstairs front bedroom. There was a closet shelving unit thing in the front. You can see the drop ceiling at the top. All that was gutted. Um, and really, we took some space out of this front bedroom where that shelving unit is shown, and you can see in the next picture here that it's just a wall there, and it's actually been moved out to take some space away from the room. It contains a new closet for this bedroom because neither of the bedrooms had a closet. So it contains a closet, and then on the other side there is a new bathroom that we added to the house. So now the house is a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. This view here is across the same room looking towards the entry door of the room, and you can see on the new picture that we've exposed that brick there as well and opened the fireplace up, and you can see how the corner of that new closet, where it is near the doorway into the room, kind of juts out into the room. But it did make the room smaller, but it's still a very functional, good size for a bedroom. And it's not the master bedroom in the house, it's really the second bedroom. This view here is looking out the front 3 windows of the second bedroom. You can clearly see the tile that we had all upstairs in both the bedrooms. We've had that all tore out. Under it was just kind of a rough subfloor, and we decided just to put carpet in the 2 bedrooms, and in the end we put the same hardwood floor we had downstairs in the hallway separating the 2 bedrooms. And here you can see the after shot of the 3 windows and the trim style we used on all the windows and doors in the house was this craftsman style that you can see well here in these 3 windows. And as I've said, we were able to reuse all the windows in the house. They were in pretty good shape, and these were after an extensive cleaning. But here you can see the carpet, and along with the baseboard in the 2 bedrooms, we went with a toe molding. We had to add because after the carpet was installed, there was a bit of a gap under the baseboard. But actually, the toe molding really actually made it look a lot better. So in the end, well worth it. Mason did all the baseboard throughout the house. So moving on to the master bedroom, here's a shot looking out the edge of the addition, which was added, I believe, long ago, not probably long after the house was built. It seems like I think the house originally just had the front 2 rooms on both the first and second level, so it was just a 2 bedroom upstairs, and the attic, of course, was there, but 2 bedroom upstairs, and then downstairs was just the front living room, and the back room was probably the kitchen at that time. But you can see where that corner cuts into the house. That's where the house ended, and as we tore all the ceiling and the walls out, you could see the old beam that was the edge of the house, and here in the new picture, you can see we left that beam kind of exposed, and I added a face on it, and we used the black carbon color on the beam that we used throughout the house. This picture shows the master bath, which you can't really see how slopey it was, but it really sloped off the back of the house, probably 4 inches down from the point back in the master where it should have been. So after I tore all this out, found probably 3 to 4 inches of concrete under that concrete in the second floor, and then the joists had been cut away to practically nothing where this bathtub was sitting. So it was really very scary situation once I dug into that. I replaced all the joists there, or sistered on a joist to all of them all across the room, and shorted up, got them all level off the steel I-beams that we ended up putting under this floor. And in the new shot, you can see the new bathtub. Everything is new in this bathroom, completely gutted. walls, and then we tiled from the tub to the ceiling. This picture is the steps going up to the attic. Here, plaster walls, we tore these out and replaced them. And the same carpet that we ran through the two bedrooms on the second floor, we ran up the stairs. The hallway, we used the same hardwood that we did on the first floor, but the carpet starts from that hallway up to the attic. So this is the first picture of the attic. We left the stair railing that you see here, but everything else was gutted up here. There was no plaster. They had some kind of felt panels that made up the wall and ceiling. They were like felt tiles on the ceiling and then felt paneling pieces on the walls and the sloped vaulted ceiling. We kept this closet that you see on the far side. I think I added some trim, but that's the same closet. We kept that. In the next shot, it's just a different angle across the room. You can see how it had the same paneling all around. It was all removed, and then in the new picture, you can see the railing. We cleaned it up, painted it. That was really in pretty good shape. It's funny, there was a light bulb. You may have seen it in the original on that railing that we got rid of, and of course, all the lighting in the house is new and up to code. You can see across the railing that we added a baseboard heat up in the attic. We didn't run duct work in the attic on the recommendation of the HVAC guy. Really didn't think the unit was capable of conditioning this space up here as well. In this last attic shot, you can see out the dormer, and they had kind of matching closets on the left and right of that dormer window, and we tore the one out on the left. You can see that in the new shot. It's gone, and we left the one on the right. And there you can see one of the new lights at the top that we added there as well. Those are all the before and after comparison pictures I have, but I wanted to add at the end here several during pictures that I took along the way. So this is a shot of a old circular saw that Dad gave me that's probably as old as I am, but I outlived it. It died on this job. This picture just wanted to show what it was like to try to get a dumpster out in front of this house. It was terrible. We had no parking signs, and people still parked right there, so it was very difficult getting dumpsters in and out. Usually when they placed them and picked them up, they needed about 2 car spaces at least to really safely get them on and off the truck. It was very difficult. Amy spent a lot of time coordinating all the dumpsters that we had, and we had probably 5 dumpsters, I guess, along the way, and really could have used a couple more. This shot is up in the master bedroom, showing pieces of the bathtub that I busted in pieces so that we could carry it out. Amy and I carried these very heavy pieces out. And then, believe it or not, someone came and dug at least one of them up out of the dumpster for scrap metal. And asked me if we had any others. I told him they were buried in the dumpster, but he didn't want to go after that. But he was looking for other scrap that we might have. But by that time, I had thrown most of it away. This just shows some of the debris we had to clean out, and Amy hard at work piling that up so we could get it out of the house into the dumpster. And you can see through the walls and how far down we had it gutted. This is the floor in the back room on the first floor, all the way down to the dirt underneath the floor. Same shot of the first. We had an HVAC guy that was looking at running that, and he wanted me to run a 3-inch PVC conduit through there. So I took the shot just to show him that. This is upstairs in the master bath. You can see how bad the joists were up there. Another shot of that. I took several because it was just so surprising how scary that was. Here you can see the concrete and under the linoleum on the left, and it was very thick. There shows the thickness of it. Back down in the back room on the first floor, you can see the joists there, and some of the work they had done with the columns, the steel columns over here. We framed right up around the columns and up to the steel beams they put in. And here you can see that on the door side of that room. Gosh, it's hard to even tell where this is. New framing for the bedroom, I think, in the front bedroom. This shows the new plumbing in the master bath. Here you can see some of the stuff we had piled up for use in the bathrooms. Here we are up in the attic, showing the insulation and a couple shots here before it was drywalled. Here you can see that's the linen closet area that I added next to the chimney up in the master bath. Here we are downstairs. Looks like just getting ready to put the kitchen cabinets in. You can see some of them stacked there on the left, but it's really before we had done any work in the kitchen besides putting the floor down. Here's the island. I had to add these brackets for the overhang on the countertops in the kitchen. One of many loads of wood and trim pieces and other things that I carried back and forth in my terrain from Lowe's and Home Depot. This is a shot during the prepping of the fireplace in the front living room of the house. Had to really break off all the masonry work to try to flatten that to accept the new tile. So I rented that demo hammer you can see there from Home Depot and knocked that off pretty quickly with that. Here's the back showing the new light we put up, but it also shows us some of the stuff we had out there. A lot of scrap wood and saws, and just there was a lot of clutter until we finally got it done. This shows Caitlin and Corey working hard on painting the basement floor. There's another step along the way of getting that linen closet in the master bath done. And this picture shows the resurfacing of the concrete walkway next to the house in process. And that's all the during pictures I had on my phone. I think there's some more out there, but those are all I'm going to include in this video. So that's it. 5208 Keystone Street in Pittsburgh, done.